So,
It's
so I
a
guess
season two.
so it's a production break season two.
Yeah, I actually, funny enough, got asked to join another podcast over
Okay,
the weekend, a
like
rugby
Yeah,
podcast.
yo.
as a permanent fixture or just
Yeah, as a permanent fixture, but then I had to decline.
why?
I don't have the time. Like that. That's crazy.
Okay, when
How
what pod
often?
does this? Is it a new pod?
Yeah, they like wanted me to be one of the hosts,
Okay,
but nah, can't.
I mean you could make some guest appearances during our season break.
Yeah, true, true. We'll see how it goes.
But I want to start off this or tonight's festivities by saying welcome everyone, welcome the neighborhood to our 10th pod. Feels good
Hey,
to finally hit the double digits.
I feel like
We
it's
need
taken
to.
very long.
Well, it's taken 11 weeks for us to get to the 10 pod
It's a
mark, which is
good
not too
ratio.
bad. I
Yeah,
think that all things considered, with our lives being as busy as they are, the fact that we only had 1 week break is not bad. We've shown a good level of consistency. But
for sure.
our customary sports results comments right off the bat. I want to say congratulations to the Springboks. We're officially into the quarterfinals. Coming up against who? Remind me again.
France.
France, the hosts.
France. Yes. Listen, I would pay lots of money to be in that stadium because the atmosphere is going to be electric. I mean, yo, can you imagine being there?
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy. There's obviously two big quarterfinals, France versus South Africa, and then Ireland versus New Zealand.
Yeah, yeah.
Listen, there's a quarterfinal between. It's crazy to me that Fiji or England are guaranteed to be in the World Cup semifinals. That's crazy to me.
Like I said a couple of weeks ago, I don't actually recognize the rugby landscape anymore. Like when I stopped watching all those years ago, there were certain like big teams, and now all of a
Yeah,
sudden, Ireland's number one in the world. Australia is whack. Like it's like
out
I've
of the
stepped
World
into a
Cup.
different. Yeah, it's like I've stepped into a different world. And then
I'll
let's. Sorry, what are we gonna say?
I will say that they are. I've heard that they are making changes. So the reason why this setup is the way it is because before this World Cup, they sort of pick the pools 3 years or 2 years before this current World Cup. So
Okay.
the next World Cup in 20, where are we now? 2027,
2020.
2027.
2027. Yeah,
Yeah.
they will pick the pools a year before that World Cup. So it will be more accurate to as to
With
who
the
the top
rankings.
teams are. Yeah, with the
Hmm,
rankings.
okay. Okay. So it's not picked at random like they do in soccer with the balls, and then they.
It's
So that.
basically the top four, they
Mm,
will split across the four pools. So let's say New
mm,
Zealand, France, South Africa, Ireland are the top four teams. It will
mm.
be Ireland Pool A, New Zealand Pool B, South Africa Pool C, France Pool D. And then they'll do that, carry on doing that through the rankings.
Okay. Well, so listen. Seeing as we are talking about rugby, we can stay with the theme, and let's talk about the fact that the the Department of Sport is now funding fans and
Yeah.
giving them the. Now, please
Hmm.
explain. What do you know about this sport, like funding of fans, and how does one even get involved?
So there's two main fans that everyone's obviously been focusing on. The
I've only
reason
seen
why
the
this
woman.
is
I've only seen the woman. I haven't seen the guy.
then there's another guy with like a shower cap,
Okay.
and yeah, he's quite animated. The reason why it came up is because there's this guy from the DA, I believe, that
Mm.
made this post about do again going on the fact that it's taxpayers' money that's paying for these people to go overseas. So playing that card. Cool.
Yeah, ne?
I'll rock with you, fam. But you know, as South Africa goes, it becomes a race thing after a while.
Mm.
But I see both sides of it, man. I mean, the Department of Sport put out a statement saying that you know it sort of contributes to the South African image and our participation from a cultural perspective in the world stage. I mean, these the two individuals went to the soccer World Cup as well. So it's almost like they fly in the South African flag,
Mm.
you know, showing the passion behind that South African supporters have for sport. But on the other
Mm.
hand, I do see the other side of it in terms of, you know, taxpayers' money and South Africa not being the richest country in the world. Like, it's a lot of money to pay for people to go to Europe, to pay for their accommodation, to pay for their food, hotels, all of that sort of stuff.
True. I guess my only question would then be is to what extent? So are they staying in like five-star hotels? Do they have an all expenses paid trip, whereas they just get a South African credit card and they just get to swipe and then the taxpayers are paying for everything? Or is it like reasonable? Because
Damn.
I can see the benefits in having these supporters going around and representing SA everywhere they go.
Let me put it to you guys like this. Both of you have traveled to Europe.
Mm.
Even on a let's say a middle class or a like a budget, even doing Europe on a
Mm.
budget,
Mm.
it's quite a penny. And
Of
like going
course.
through good experiences. So there's no way that I think that these guys are like staying in a, you know, 2-star hotel or like a bed and breakfast. It's just, I don't see it.
How do
So
you
to your
feel,
point,
Luke?
I think it's a lot of money.
I didn't know it was a thing. Obviously, more questions arise. I would just be keen to see if they have a budget. If it's just a case of here's the card, swipe it. And I also want to know what makes this lady, fortunately don't know her name, and the guy so special, so to say, that it's always them.
Yeah.
Do they have a certain quality or like, I don't understand. It would be different if you have a group of people and it changes every event to sort of include diversity. Like, guys, this is a
Why not
reflection
make
of
it
our
like a
country.
national? Why not make it a national lottery? You know, and
Or
then we
application
all
process.
yeah, then we all apply
Yeah,
for every major tournament, and then everybody stands an equal chance of going to represent the country. Because how did they pick these two
100%.
individuals? How did they get chosen?
But for like the same sort of, they keep going to different tournaments, but the same
Exactly.
people. I think if you want to show South Africa's true diversity, you have to open it up, like you said.
Okay,
Because I would
so
love to go. Damn.
me
Yeah, we
too,
can
me
always.
too, and I don't care what sporting event it is. It could be the netball World Cup, the rugby World Cup. We could even be the World Cup for darts. I'd be out here just without my.
I was about to say, have they seen me before a Springbok game? Like that's true fandom.
Exactly.
Mm.
That's why people are trying to poach you from our pod and to be on their rugby pods, but not today. Okay.
I also
So
want to throw a bit more shade at the South African government. Like the Springboks, the Springboks are our pride and joy.
and the
Like
Proteas.
we've
And the Proteas.
nah, the Springboks have won 3 World Cups. The Proteas have won 0 World Cups.
Okay,
How
fair
in
enough.
the world can you put yourself in a position where South Africa could possibly play without the South African flag? The Springboks could play without the South African flag under an alternate kit and without singing the national anthem. Like, what? How on the world stage?
Maybe that's why they got the checkers 60-60 looking kit. It's like they knew it was going to happen.
Well, get it right. First of all, Checkers have released an official statement saying that it's not them. But you
Yeah,
know who
okay.
haven't denied it is FNB. Because I'm saying it's
Isn't,
FNB's behind it.
Oh, yeah, it could be.
isn't,
Well,
There
they are
is
one of the
no
main
way.
sponsors, and they look exactly like the colors are exactly the same as the kit, and nobody's seen this color before except in F&B and Checkers. So
Yeah. But
There's some.
listen,
I was just about
so
to say
I
there's
ju-
definitely
yeah,
some
yeah.
like corporate or money thing involved in
definitely.
this. Like 100% has to be.
I just want to know with regards to the story, is it set now? Or is there
Yeah,
still
that was going to be my question. So when will
some
we
some
know what the
bribing
outcome
that could be
is?
happening?
So context for the neighborhood, basically the South African sports department, the government, basically didn't update their legislation in line with the World Anti-Doping Agency's regulations. So basically they needed to file some paperwork and they didn't.
And they dropped the
Surprise,
ball.
surprise. So the
Excuse the
consequences could
pun.
be that South Africa, the consequences could be that South Africa might have to play under alternate kit, and they won't be able to play under the South African flag. They can't sing the South African national anthem at the games, and yeah, it's all due to us
That
missing the
I mean
deadline.
that can directly affect the performance on the field. They're not getting the hiss of singing that anthem beforehand, the pride. I mean, we have
Yeah,
all these adverts. Like I watched one advert the other day where they had these Springboks on, and they were all talking about when you cry, we cry. With your passion is our passion. You know what I mean? Now, how do you want to put money and effort into making those adverts, but then you drop the ball on the admin that you need to do in order to make sure that they can properly represent our country
it's
overseas?
crazy.
It is
But
crazy.
luckily, they've extended the deadline, so hopefully we make the deadline.
Okay,
Okay,
hopefully,
well,
hopefully.
there's some hope.
On a slightly more light-hearted topic, I'm going to throw a question out at you guys. This one is on the docket. And it's probably something that we've all thought about it more so in our younger formative years, but now that we're older, maybe the answers will be slightly more interesting. And that is, if you could have any superpower in the world, what would it be and why?
I'll go
I'm going to go
first.
first. Okay, you go
Okay.
first. You go first.
So, I mean, there's many things, but I think of Professor X and Mantis from Guardians of the Galaxy. So
Okay.
for me, if it's something along the lines of the ability to read minds
Mhm.
and influence people's behavior, I would be extremely happy with that.
So you're a young creep then.
So
Okay, cool.
no, man. Like just the light guide you in the right direction.
Guide you in the direction you want.
In my direction.
So I'll be like, nah, this person's on another buzz. Let's just quickly sort him out.
Okay, make a note. Luke is a creep. Cool. Note taken. Because think about it like this: if anybody has the ability to not only read your mind, but then persuade you to do anything they wanted to do, how are you possibly going to trust this person? I can't. I couldn't.
Well,
I could never trust.
there's no way I can. No, but I mean, if you think about it, in the superhero movies, no one should trust them, but it's all about intention. So I have good intentions, along with my superpower.
I'll take your word for it. And you, Kieran?
I was gonna go with Luke's answer, like to read, but to read minds. I just want to know what you're thinking. But I'm actually gonna go with whether that's a Raven situation. See the future.
Oh, you want to see the future, but how far into
Yeah.
the future?
Like a week. I think
A
that's
week.
a good time. I think too long would be like I would try to influence what's gonna happen.
Exactly.
And too short, I think it's not going to be worth anything. So maybe like a week.
Okay, and what's your why? Because Luke's why was obviously he wants to persuade people to make sure that they're liquor.
Make the world a better place, man. Take my
According
word
to
for
me.
it.
And you, Kieran, what's your reason?
I think I just like to know what's going to happen. Like, I'm a planner and I like to know that things are going to work out a certain way. So I think for me, just being aware. And I think in my old age, I'm building up a bit of anxiety. So, so I think I'd like to know where the shit's going.
Okay, I'm gonna think outside the box because I'm not gonna lie. The thought of being able to read people's minds is probably the one that comes to mind first. But I'm
Mm.
gonna go with the superpower of being invisible.
I knew you were gonna say. I knew you were gonna say that.
What did you say? Wait, I was
Talk about a
laughing at
creep.
you, right?
I'm gonna go with being invisible.
Oh yeah, that's you, the leader of the creep squad.
100%.
Okay, moving on. Moving on. Next topic.
Okay. So I wanted to ask you guys a question. This is just an opinion-based questions. There are no rights or wrongs here. But I wanted to ask you, what do you guys think that the prerequisites are for being successful in life? Because I actually came across a study where they spoke about what the CIA believes are the not necessarily prerequisites plural, but a prerequisite for being successful. And I thought it was very interesting what they look for in candidates. So I don't know if you guys want to
Tell
answer the
us.
question first, or would you like me to first tell you what they say?
Yeah,
But I
tell
don't.
us.
Yeah.
Tell us what the CIA say.
So when the CIA are looking to recruit someone, they are actually looking for someone who doesn't necessarily have the easiest of upbringing, someone whose parents maybe were constantly working, or maybe their parents weren't that present. And in order to get attention from their parents, they constantly needed to succeed. They constantly needed to achieve in order to receive love. So um, basically, they didn't receive unconditional love all the time from their parents. It was something that they needed to kind of earn, or at least they felt like they needed to earn it. So the CIA believes that when a kid is growing up and they believe that they need to impress their parents in order to receive that love, they develop this skill and they develop the ability so that they can they're constantly, in a nutshell, seeking approval. So as adults, they continue in that same vein and they strive to be more successful, not necessarily so that they can still get love from their parents, but maybe so that they can get acceptance from their peers, so that they can get acceptance from their bosses, maybe so that their partner will love them. And they're just hardwired to always be trying to achieve more so that they can receive love. Where in the flip side, if you came from a home where, and I'm not saying this is just the CIA's opinion, right? If you came from a home where your parents loved you unconditionally and they made you feel like that love was unconditional, whereas it didn't matter if you got an A or a D on your maths paper, you were getting the same amount of love. Then those kids basically grow up feeling like, you know what, I don't need to try that hard. Like, I am special. My parents made me believe that I'm special, and I don't need to succeed so much in life in order to receive acceptance from those that I love and those that I want to impress. So therefore, those people, according to the CIA, tend to not be as successful.
My
Interesting,
my
right?
mind actually went to like movies,
Mm.
because in a lot of these sort of movies, it's that the agent is adopted or is a foster child or like that sort of vibe. So it makes sense. Um, but yeah, that is very interesting, and I can see why that would be the case. If you haven't received that positive reinforcement, and you've constantly had to chase approval, I can see how you would constantly chase success and to try and be better. So it makes
But I mean,
sense.
if I can make this a little bit more personal now, to use you as an example, Keenan, you've already spoken on the pod how you grew up when your mom was raising you and your dad wasn't around. So, and I think that uh, not that you didn't receive unconditional love, but it shows that you had those struggles growing up, and I believe it shows in your life today that you are a successful person and you always are striving to better yourself whether it's being a better husband or being better at your job or being a better leader at work. I mean, it shows firsthand, in my opinion. I've
Sharp,
seen
man.
it actually in
I
life.
appreciate
I'm
that.
not trying. I'm not trying to gas you up. I'm just being real.
And you know what's funny, eh? Like, I think my mom would be the first one to say that she wasn't even all the way there as, like, that single mother that's there all the way for you and checks your homework and, motivates you all the time. But she'll say the same thing that you said. It's the fact that she, like, put that responsibility and accountability on me to either make it or break it is kind of like what's made me the person that I am today. So I agree with you 100%. I
So
think it could work.
are there any other prerequisites for success according to you guys? Is there anything else that you think?
Consistency. Consistency
Mhm.
is the main one. Like if you do something more often and like even if if we look at a sporting term, or let's talk about fives, if
Mm.
I've seen myself get better the more often I went to go play at fives, and I'm by no means a soccer player. Like
Mm.
when I first started like playing Sundays and kickabout, that sort of thing, I had like two left feet. But slowly but
Feet like
surely,
tits.
yeah, like I was like Bambi. I was like Bambi on ice skates. Like it was terrible. But the more often I played, I could see myself getting better. You learn better control and like things like that. You don't need talent for. It's all about just practicing more and more. So that's my
Okay.
prerequisite. That's it.
Consistency. And you, Mr. Stevens?
There was a key word Keenan said, learn. So I think for me, it's a combination of challenging yourself and being outside your comfort zone. Find yourself in those situations. Always be eager to learn something, and that's how you grow. So I think creating environments where you can challenge yourself, and then obviously do that consistently.
I agree.
And I think a nice little cherry on top of the learning cake that you just mentioned now would be being humble enough. So obviously strive to be the best, right? And have that be the goal. However, be humble enough to admit that no matter how good you are, there's always space to improve, and you can
Yeah.
always
Yeah.
learn something from someone. And I think that's a really important trait. Like you have to, and it sounds cliche, but you really have to be humble, because it's once you start thinking that you have nothing more to learn, you know everything, that is probably when someone's going to catch you, you know?
Can I ask a question? And it's not on the docket, but
Yeah.
how do you guys feel about like what's the balance for you with your friendships
Mm.
between having yes men and having someone that will, like you said, challenge you and always like call you out on where you're not, like be honest with you, call you out where you're not meeting expectations or where you're not pushing yourself where you should be. But then also having the friend
Mm,
that supports
mm.
you with regardless of what, like it just came to my mind now when you said that.
No, and it's really, it's I think it's a really good question. And I think as a friend, you need to be both. If you're like a really good friend, you need to be both of those things. You need to be your friend's cheerleader, but then you also, on the other hand, need to be able to call them out in their bullshit and give them hard truths if it's time to hear those hard truths. So I mean, if I'm just talking about what I would like, I wouldn't say necessarily expect from my friends, but what I would like from my friends, because I try not to expect things from people anymore, because that just leads to disappointment, and that's you. It's actually unfair on those people in your life, because now I place expectations on you. You don't live up to this imaginary expectation that I placed on you. Now all of a sudden you're the bad guy. No, I'm wrong.
But
Mhm.
it shouldn't be imaginary. You should
Mm.
communicate those expectations.
True, but you're not. That is true, but not in every sense of the like, not every sense of the word, every scenario. So, yeah,
Let's talk like between like the three of us.
okay,
Like I know you saying it depends on the friend, but
Yeah.
use myself
No, no,
and
no.
Luke
I'm
as an
talking. I'm not
example.
saying it depends on the friend. I'm saying it depends on the scenario. So, with regards to, but we're kind of going away from your question, but I'll come back to it. With expectations, for example, if I expect you to, you know that I'm starting a new role on Wednesday, I and I expected you to send me a message on Wednesday morning to say good luck. That's not, and then I don't necessarily feel like that is an expectation that I need to communicate with you, because it's also
Mm.
not a very important expectation. You know what I mean? Like I can admit, and I can realize that it would have been nice to receive a message, but it's not a prerequisite. It's not something that I really expect from you. However, when you're talking about, like, last week's pod, when someone talks crap about me in front of you, I think I do then expect you to stand up for me and to defend my name and my honor in my absence. But going back to your previous question, when you mentioned the balance, I think it boils down to knowing the friend. So, for example, if I can see that, like, either one of you, if I can see, and I think I would do this, I probably have at some point in our friendships as well, if I can see that you are capable of more, if I can see, like, not to say that you're not doing well, but if I can be like let's make it something simple. You did a test and you got a B or a C, but I know in my heart of hearts, knowing you, that you are capable of an A, I would be like, yo, Luke, Keenan, congrats, bro. I'm proud of you. However, you could have gotten an A, man. If you had properly applied yourself, I think you could have gotten an A. And if you did apply yourself and you didn't get the A, like, I think that if you push a little bit harder, you can get the A. So I
Mm.
feel like it's about knowing your friends and knowing what they're capable of and actually taking the time to invest in them. And then you can get that balance. But also knowing where they are in their life, because sometimes maybe they're going through things, and that's where coming and knowing your friends is important and vital. Maybe the B or the C was the best they could churn out because they're dealing with some other shit. And in that moment, they need positive reinforcement, and they need you as a friend to be like, yo, I'm proud of you, bro. I know you're
Mm.
dealing with all this other crap, but you still managed to get a B on that test.
That I was actually thinking of a situation with you
Mm.
where, and I wanted to add on, like, it's the way that you sort of give that positive and
Mm.
honest opinion or feedback.
Yes.
Because there has
Yes.
been instances where, like, let's say, for instance, I wanted to lose weight or something like that. You wouldn't say, like, oh, you're getting duck, like, you need to start losing weight. You would be
Mm.
like, I'm doing XYZ, like, I'm doing this sort of training, you should try it out. Or I'm doing this sort of, like, eating regime or diet plan, you should try it out. Like that sort of buzz. It's the way you communicate the message as well.
And also, there's been times where you've been on a journey, on a fitness journey, and then you've told me there's been people in your life that will kind of throw shade at the fitness journey, and
Mm.
they'll negative reinforcement, and then I'll think to myself, that's not what you need. It's like people, not calling you fat, eh? I'm just saying, it's like where people are where overweight people are in the gym, and then other people will insult them and be like,
Mm.
you're in the gym, but you're overweight. And I'm like, that's not the
That
right mentality to have.
do
Yeah.
you know, I hate that shit in, like, Jan when gym people, like, gym rats, are like,
Yeah.
damn, I hate the fact that these people are now filling up the gym in January. Like, you guys are just coming here to do your New Year's resolutions. If someone comes for 10 years straight, January 2nd or January 3rd, to the gym to start a new gym resolution or a New Year's resolution, maybe that 11th time they actually stick to it. And, like, but at least they're doing something to get there. You know what I mean?
And maybe they will stay in the gym if you weren't there making fun of them, saying like, you fat, but you're in the gym. Like, what do you like?
Mm,
I don't understand it.
that's crazy.
The fitness industry is quite toxic when it comes to, let's say, to overweight individuals, especially in public gyms. Many of these people find it an intimidating environment. But I'm trying to fight it, but I'm one person out of millions. So it's going to take another Joey Swall to put up some videos and sort people out. Like,
Is there
Yeah.
anything you would like to add on, Luke, before we move on to the next topic? Is there anything you would like to add on Keenan's question?
Just to maybe, yeah, to answer his question, like obviously cliche, you want to find balance. I don't know if your question was sort of structured that you have friends that are yes men, and then the rest are just throwing shade or making you question.
Yeah. Mm.
But I think it's a skill. You got to try find people that are either yes men or that can do both. Using the example of Nathan, so Nathan can, even though he will critique you, it still sounds positive. So you have to, I would say, kind of avoid people that just throw problems at you or negative comments. If there's no solution or upliftment, or you can, or say this is the problem, but you can do this, or maybe try this.
I think the word you're
try
looking
it's
for is, sorry if I could just interject, I think
Yeah.
the word you're looking for is constructive criticism, something that you
yeah.
can learn from. Yeah.
And I don't think a lot of people have that skill. Everyone's quick to identify problems, but no one can give constructive criticism or feedback on whatever you're going through. So
I just want to, oh, sorry, continue. Sorry.
yeah, no, I was just going to finish off just saying, like, I mean, another example of people like Nathan are rare. If I were to put it into my life, my perspective, like, if we're going on percentages, there's probably like 20 to 30% of people like that are just yes men and give you constructive criticism. The rest are whatever you throw at them, it's, but what about this? But then that's going to happen. Depends on how close you are with them, but yeah, it's a tough one because you actually need to distance yourself. I still need to learn that, to just distance yourself from people or have the conversation with them and say, listen, or if it gets to a place of expectation, because now it's like, listen, I appreciate our friendship, but lately there's been a lot of this, this, and this, which is a difficult conversation to have. Yeah.
No, it makes sense.
You see, the thing is, what I've also noticed in life is that when people can't do something, they want to tell you that you can't do something. And if I want to just, if I could sum up this topic that we just spoke about now, and this is something that I've heard it so many times in my life, but it's something that has, I think, only properly dawned on me in recent years. And that is just how important your friendship circle actually is. I'm sure you guys have heard the saying that your 5 closest friends make up your net worth and basically show who you are as a person. And like, you can sum someone up by looking at the 5 people they spend most of their time with. And if you think about it, these are the influences in your life. It is just of utmost importance that you are not only surrounding yourself with people that are just yes men, just cheerleaders, just to tell you that everything you're doing is great, but also people that literally have your best interests at heart and actually want the best for you, so that if they can see that you're harming yourself, that they can actually be like, for example, let's say I started to binge drink and I became a little bit of an alcoholic. I don't want you guys to just be like, oh, Nathan, you're doing so well in your career, blah, 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 and you're still managing to stay fit. No, tell me that, yo, my man, I've been talking to you a lot lately, and every time we talk, I realize that there's a drink in your hand. I realize that maybe you can't have fun without alcohol, and maybe you're becoming a little bit dependent on it. I know you look healthy, but what's happening on the inside? You know what I mean? Like, it is literally... Exactly. It's literally of utmost importance that you make sure, and I'm glad you could identify, Luke, that is something that you are yet to learn with regards to being more selective as to who has access to you, because I think it's a skill, and I think it's something that a lot of people, myself included, I think I'm in my no nonsense era. But I think it's very important that people start taking stock of who they are allowing into their inner circle, and they start being super protective of that circle, of that energy.
Speaking of protective, there was a question on the docket where you in a situation where your significant other and your mother get into an argument, and your significant other says, "Let's go, we're leaving," and your mother says, "Sit down." What relationship are you protecting?
Okay. I'll go first because I'm going to use my mom's own teachings against her in this situation. I'm going to be like, Mom, you raised me and you told me that once I get married, that is your family and you put your wife first. So unfortunately, in this situation, I'm going to put my wife first and I'm going to be like, baby, go to the car. I'll be right there. And I'll be like, Mom, you're number one to me. She ain't shit. I love you, Mom, but I have to go. Bye. And that's how I'm dealing with the situation.
So not even resolving the conflict.
No. You see,
None of
that's your
that.
problem now. Have you ever tried to break up a fight between two dogs? One of my exes.
Is it a physical fight?
So no, it's a verbal fight, but I'm just using this as an example. My ex, her father, tried to break up a fight between his dog and the neighbor's dog, and now he has half a finger. So now all I'm saying is, okay, it's healed. He's not dead or anything, but he has half a finger, and now the rest of his life he has half a finger. So all I'm saying is, I'm not gonna get involved and try to, sort out the conflict. I'm gonna diffuse the situation. I'm gonna tell my wife to go to the car. It's fine. We are leaving now. Let me just get my stuff. And then when she's in the car, I'm going to tell my mom, I love you. And you're right. And then when I get to the car, I'm going to tell my wife, I can't believe my mom said that,
Damn.
Out of line. She was out of line.
Both
Luke,
sides.
what are you doing?
I'm going to do something very different compared to that. I'm a man of logic. So whatever they argued about, okay, whichever side makes more logical sense to me, I'm gonna intervene and put my foot down.
You are a fool.
And
are a fool.
I'm a peacemaker. I'm like, right, stop this tantrum nonsense.
Whoa.
What's going on? No. They mustn't turn on me.
Both of them, exactly. What's the chances that both of them start on you after that, dude?
I'll just say none of this tantrums. Let me hear your case. And I'll play devil's advocate.
Let me hear your case. Now you
Can I just say that, Luke, you are walking out of that with half a finger. I'm telling you that.
You say I'm going home alone.
They're both gonna turn on you. So that plan is not gonna work. That plan is not
I like
gonna
a challenge, man. I like a challenge. I'll go for it.
So
Listen, I'm
very eager. I'm very eager to hear your response here, bro.
I'm feeling a bit froggy. So I'm gonna jump here. Listen, can I just say, just honestly, and I'm happy Nathan said what he said. Because this whole debacle or this difficulty around the situation comes from our mothers. Our mothers are the problem in this situation because they will tell you all the time that you, like Nathan said, you must protect your wife. Your wife comes first. They will tell your father, or in front of you, they will tell your father, I'm supposed to come first in your life. They had the same issues with your grandmother, where they
100%.
told your father, you must take my side.
I seen it with my own eyes.
Now you come to me and you come with, you don't have any more time for me. You and your partner living in this bubble, and whatever she says goes, and you just take her side. Damn right I do. Because you told me to.
Exactly.
So, yeah. Listen, if my wife's wrong, I'll definitely have a conversation with her at home. Sorry, but I'm not like doing that getting in between of both of them at that moment.
Jerry Springer.
100%. But let Luke do whatever bullshit he said he was going to do and let him feel, and then we can just laugh afterwards. And he says,
Listen, with my
it blew up.
superpower, I can make it happen. There we go.
Life is like a circle.
Oh yeah,
Guys,
lekker man.
talking about your superpower and how you would like to influence the world to think better. There was an interview with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and I think he was talking to Jay Shetty, but you guys apparently don't know who that is because you live under a big ass rock. Anyway, so
I just know cool people. Like who the fuck
I don't
is
even know how
Jay
to respond
Shetty?
to that. Anyway, so Arnold Schwarzenegger said that modern society has started to produce weaklings. He didn't single out any groups or anything like that. He just said modern society has started to create weak people. Do you agree? Because I do.
Yeah, I think like there was some controversial things around Arnold, but I watched his documentary on Netflix, and it's
Yeah.
like that typical German Austrian sort of mindset around like being tough, and like the world doesn't owe you anything. There's no point in feeling sorry for yourself. Like if you fail, the only way you can get up is by by your own strength. So I really fuck with that mentality, because the thing is, the world doesn't owe you anything. No one owes you absolutely anything. I know too many people these days that feel like someone owes them something, or someone needs to come and save them, or the world is against them.
The victim mentality, which seems to
Like,
be everywhere.
Nah, fam. Nah.
I mean, I'm sure you've heard the saying. What's the saying? The saying is hard times create hard people, then hard people create soft times, and then soft times create soft people. Have you ever heard that before?
No, it's the first time. But it makes sense.
Wow. Yeah, so you're welcome. And but don't you think that it is so true? Like in the sense that now, I mean, with everybody gets so easily offended these days, regardless of what. I'm not going to mention any groups to make this controversial or anything. I'm just saying, as a society, we are so quick to label ourselves as victim in one way or another that we take offense to anything. Like, for example, like let's say this younger generation, and you could even say that our generation kind of falls into that, because we're not that old just yet, but this younger generation, let's look at the footballers. Let's look at Jadon Sancho, for example. So now, yes, I'm not a proponent, and I don't believe that a manager should be publicly criticizing his players. I don't think it's cool. I think there's a better way to deal with it than airing my dirty laundry out there in the public. However, like back in the days of Patrick Vieira, Roy Keane, etc., if Ferguson had to come out and he had to say, oh, he didn't play because he hasn't been training well enough, I mean, the players would just have to suck that up, and they would just have to get on with it and then prove him wrong on the pitch. These days, I mean, you've hurt my feelings now. Now I'm going to make a public announcement and say that, don't believe everything that you hear, and then refuse to apologize because you've hurt my feelings. Like,
is that Jadon Sancho's fault though?
That he's basically a weakling.
That he's got access to social media to be able to do that.
I don't think it's his fault that he's. I think that he's a product of our society.
Yeah. So did you watch the first episode of Beckham on Netflix?
No, couldn't.
So just go and watch that first episode, and you'll see. Like, tell me if you think Beckham would have done the same thing Jadon Sancho did, if it was available in that time.
The social media.
We can maybe come back to it next week. But yeah, I get what you're saying. I mean, like, again, you have a choice. Everyone has choices. And he obviously made the choice to go to social media. But
Mm.
even in that example, I agree. It's not the greatest thing for the manager to do. But what you do have control of is to pitch up on Monday and train your effing hardest. Like, go hard. Um, I think that happened with me quite a few times when I was playing rugby. Like, I got dropped in varsity, and that was when I played my best. Like, as soon as I got dropped to the bench, I was at it in training. Like, whoever started ahead of me, I'm tackling the snot loose out of him. Like, when we
Yeah.
play against each other. Like, so it's all about your mentality.
Also, have you guys been in situations in the workplace? It doesn't have to be at your current jobs or anything like this. I'm just talking about in general over your adult life, right? Where perhaps you've gotten unfavorable feedback from a boss, or maybe you felt like you were unfairly victimized by Regina George. You know what I mean? And there was a moment where, because I had it right. I've had it pretty recently, where where
Now, wait, hold on. Hold on. Wait, sorry. I'm sure you were talking about some very insightful things there. But I also just want to put up my hand and say, I also watched Mean Girls on October 3rd. Yo, no, I'm going to stand in it. I stand with you, brother. I stand with you. I stand with you.
so like I had a moment in the not too distant past where I was confronted with a situation where I was in essence spoken to like I was a small child, and I don't like it when people disrespect me. And this person had a higher rank than me, right? They spoke to me like I was a small child, and they spoke to me over something that I had not done. So they basically reprimanded me. And it turns out this person was just in a bad mood, so they reprimanded me. And in the moment, I had thought that I'd done this thing they were reprimanding me about. So once the moment had passed and I had a moment to myself, I went to go check to see if I had done this thing, and then I realized, wait, you were reprimanding me and like you were rude to me now over something that has not happened. It was literally like preemptive by you, just so that I maybe don't do it in the future. You spoke to me this way, and then in that moment, I was like, you know what? I don't need this. My man got two jobs, so I was about to walk away, and I was about to leave this place of business, and then I caught myself, and I realized, you know what? This is a teachable moment. This is a moment for me to build character. Not every time in life and not everywhere I go is everybody just going to love me and think that I cuck ice cream. Some people are just going to either be having a bad day or they're just not going to like the what I look like. So they're going to have it out for me. And you know what? I need to learn if I want to make it in this world, because this is a hard world. If I want to make it anywhere in this world, I need to learn how to deal with this adversity and either suck it up or get them to stop acting that way through respecting me by just how good I am at what I do, kind of thing. You know what I mean?
I learned
So that's
something from that. I
exactly.
because I've been struggling with that.
Mm,
I'm the type of person, and I think we're similar in that sense. Like, we want to believe that we're the best at what we do, and that we give our best, and that
yeah.
we really are dedicated, and we know what we're doing. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and every time someone like kind of goes against that, it's like
Mm,
it hits us hard. I'm like, yo, nah, that's not cool. Like, I know that I'm good.
yeah.
So it's interesting. I took something out of that, and I'm realizing now that I actually don't need everyone to like me or to feel like or to validate what I already know about myself.
I think that's exactly the right words you use there. You don't need other people to validate you. So, speaking of other people validating you, let's validate ourselves. On the docket, there is a thing that says, "What is your three best qualities?"
Can I just preface this by saying, like, obviously I added it to the docket, but I
Mm.
just thought it's a interesting one for Mental Health Awareness Month.
Mm.
I think a
Is
lot
this
of
month Mental Health Awareness Month? October.
yeah, I think
Oh,
it's
okay,
specifically men's. I'm speaking
okay,
under the correction, but I think it's men's mental
okay.
health awareness month. Um, the reason why I brought it up was because, I mean, rightly so, we need to identify the problem areas that we're struggling with, whether that be
Mm,
anger issues, anxiety, all of that sort of things.
mm,
It's good to identify it and focus on it and try to get better. But I think sometimes we forget about like what makes us good, like what are we proud of ourselves about who we are as men, I would say.
okay,
So that's why I brought it up.
okay. I'll go first. Are we all gonna strive to give three, or are we just gonna start blurting
Let's
them
see
out
what we
all
can.
week?
Like, listen, the thing is, that's the problem I have, is the fact that we feel that three is a lot, like it's a stretch.
Because if the question was reversed and it was like, what are three things you think you can improve on? You'd probably be able to just shoot them off the top of your head, right? But like, it's crazy how that works. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna start, and I'm gonna say, what I do like about myself is how much effort I put into the people that I love, my friendships, and I try my best, regardless of its friendships or my close family members, because you get some family that's like friends, as in like you actually spend time with them, and you get like distant family that you only see at gatherings. But I'm talking about like the closest people to me, the people that I speak to on a regular. I'm very happy with how I communicate with them. With you guys, I feel like that's one of my strong suits. Like, I don't think that anybody that's close to me ever has to worry that they're not sure where they stand, because I feel like my communication is pretty on point, and I like to also more so these days. Maybe it's because I'm leaving in the near future, but I like to share how I'm feeling. So if in a moment I'm feeling love towards a specific person, then I take that time to share that feeling with them. I don't just assume that they know how I feel. Like, I actually take the time to say, hey, I'm thinking about you. Hey, I love you. Hey, I appreciate you. Another thing, because I'm going to go for all three. I think I thought of them now. So another thing, I love my mind. I think I love the way I think. I always felt like it was always my best quality. Like, I know whenever I was asked people like, "What's your best quality?" and people assume that you're either going to say, "Oh, like I like my legs," or you know what I mean. Like, I've always consistently since high school, my answer has always been, "I love my brain. I love the way I think." And then thirdly, I love my ability to be consistent in almost every area in my life. Like, whether it's my fitness, whether it's pursuit of excellence in my career, or whether it is trying to be a good person to everybody that I try to have a good impact on everybody that comes into my life. I feel like consistency, my brain, and the my communication skills with those that I love. The floor is yours,
Good
gentlemen.
stuff. Look how relieved you are.
Keenan, you're
Good
gonna go.
stuff.
Okay, so for me, obviously, another addition to this, if we could each give a quality to each other. But for me, I think like I'd like to think that I'm loyal when it comes to my friendship and family. Um,
Check.
in the sense that when it comes to time and conversation, if anyone I care about in my circle needs me, I'll be there for them. And if there was a word for committed, disciplined, so in every area of my life, I try to apply the same discipline whether it's my work, my fitness, my relationships. I always
That
try
is the
to.
word. Discipline
No,
is the
like
word, and committed is the word.
no, but I mean, if there's one word to sum both of them up, man.
Ah, I see, I see, I see.
Yeah, I was about to say you can't put wide vocabulary there.
No, like
Yo.
yeah, because it's not like one or the other. Like
It's
a
a
mixture of
combo of
both.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm. And then I'm going to tap into what Nathan said about the mind. And without sounding arrogant, it's just being, how can I say, fascinated with how you think and how you look at the world and
Mm.
how you learn things. And it's something that I actually, with me spending time with my friends, I try to, I don't want to say implement, but I try to consciously show my friends and my family that side to me. I don't know if
Would
they
you
pick it
sum
up or
would you sum that up to being curious? Because not a lot of people are curious.
I would say, yeah, curious. But then having that sort of, having my circle aware of that and if they could implement that.
To be more curious about things in life.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you, Keenan?
For me, I think it's like on what old Arnold said. I like the fact that I don't have a victim mentality. Like I actually look at the situations that I've gone through in life as a benefit to me because it's made me strong. Like, I mean, the things that we often talk about is like, we're going to bring a child into this world that's going to have both parents, that's going to grow up in a nice house and all of that sort of things that we didn't have when we grew up. And that actually worries us to a certain extent because it's like, how do you build that character? But that being said, I just like the fact that, the things that I've gone through in my life, I haven't used as an excuse not to be where I am at the moment. I like the fact that I bring a vibe, man. Like, I like that fact. Like, I feel like I make the situation like pop, like it's gonna be liquor if I'm around. And I know that sounds a bit arrogant, but I'm gonna say it. I
Own
also
it.
like the fact,
Self-aware.
yeah. And I've had to manage this thing that I actually like about myself because I've gotten feedback from people in my life that I need to manage it. But I like the fact that I wear my heart on my sleeve. Like, I'm just gonna like say anything, like how I feel. What you see is what you get from me. Like, I'm not trying to hide anything. I'm just like, you're gonna get what you're gonna get from me. And yeah, like that's honesty. I think I'll call it wearing my heart on my sleeve. Those are the three things I like about myself.
So I'll go first because you guys have made my job really easy for me now with regards to one good thing about you guys. And I'm just going to take one of the things that you guys mentioned about yourself. And I would say that, Luke, your best quality in my mind is actually how loyal you are to the ones you love, coupled with your curiosity to learn. Because in order to learn, you need to be curious and you need to want to learn. And then as for Keenan, you finished it off. Well, the thing is, again, I think it's a combination of the two. Again, it is the fact that you have not allowed any difficulties in your past to stop you from achieving what you achieved and achieving what you're going to achieve. Because, my man, the story's not over yet. And also, 100%, one thing I can guarantee you is that you 100% bring a vibe. I've told you this on more than one occasion. I always know I'm going to have my most fun nights when Keenan's involved. So, yeah, I couldn't agree more with the two of those things for both of you guys. So keep those up. Do that.
Nice. I'm gonna go with mine. For Nathan, I like the fact that you don't like, especially now in your latter years. I like the fact that you don't give a fuck what people think anymore. Like you do whatever you feel is like you want to do. whether it be your poetry, whether it be like your social media stuff. If you want to do it a
Dressing
certain
in
way,
full leopard print yesterday.
dressing in full leopard print. By the way, first time that we've beaten Manchester City in 8 years. So next week, you wear that same leopard print. That's like your new uniform, because that's the lucky charm, I feel. And then with Luke, like again, I like the fact that Luke is so diverse. Like he's not you like if you look at him, you would put him in a box, but actually when you get to know him, it's like you're this guy knows
The white
everything about
box.
everything, and he can, yeah, but he can Luke, like Luke can literally talk to you about soccer. He can talk to you about rugby. He can hang out with a group of white people, and he can hang out with a group of all colored people. Like, and it would be fine. Like he would be able to fit in.
Yeah.
So I'll put him down as like a chameleon.
There
I think
we
A white
go.
chameleon.
Damn. All right. Okay, with that being said, so with Natey boy, so what I appreciate about you is, and I think it's obvious now I've mentioned it, is you're very positive, and our friendship goes way back. Not going to mention your bad quality, but there was a time where your temper got the better of you. I'm still a victim to that, so I also have a bad temper from time to time. But I love the fact that it's so positive, and the fact that it's so rare. And my wish is that you never lose that, because a lot more people need that. You always feel like after we talk, I always feel like anything is possible. And my advice for Keenan now is to surround yourself with people like this. And you're also quite big on energy, Nathan. So I would say keep that positive vibe. And with Keenan, whether it's a fake it till you make it, but I'm going to say your confidence. So the fact that linked to what Nathan said about your upbringing, I think the fact that there was confidence that you would succeed. You're confident in your ability because you know you're good at something and you'll achieve it regardless of your situation or circumstance. Also linked to the vibe. So your whole persona, how you carry yourself, it's filled with confidence and good vibes. But it's something you bring to all areas in your life. That's just what I've witnessed. I don't know if it's the first time you've heard it, but I would say that's...
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's the first time I've heard it, but like it's the first time that I've heard someone articulate it like that. Like that's amazing. Thanks, man. Almost brought a tear to my eye. That's crazy.
So let's bring the love fest to an end here. We have been potting for over an hour, so I'm going to hit you with one final question before we say goodbye. And that is, so it's a trend. I actually looked up why this trend has begun, and there is no good reason. It's just girlfriends have been asking their boyfriends. And apparently the answer has been like every day, at least once a week. It makes no fucking sense to me. But anyway, how often do you guys think about the Roman Empire?
Never.
I mean,
I'm gonna be boring and say I never do. But I think there's a reason why.
Okay.
I mean, when I have lust for a Romany cream, I might think about the Roman Empire. But... Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, believe it or not, he's not a dad yet, but he's coming in with the dad jokes. My God. I would honestly say
I think
I think about the Roman Empire is when I watch a movie that involves the Roman Empire. If I watch a movie like Pompeii or The Gladiator with Russell Crowe, that's the only time. And to be honest, I think that's probably the real answer. I think this trend on TikTok is just like people doing it for, for the clout or whatever you want to call it, for TikTok. Yeah.
Mm.
What were you going to say there, Luke, before I rudely
No,
interrupted?
maybe when it started, I think it could be. I think Americans and Europeans are always thinking about war and their history and architecture. So I think when the
Mysterious.
trend started,
Mm.
I think there was some authenticity, but then as the numbers picked up, it's like I mean, I don't believe most things on TikTok. The girl could have been like, "Listen, babe, I'm going to shoot a video now. Just make up some cute answer, funny answer, and let's go." Okay, bang, and then there they gooi the video.
Spot on.
Tell me that's
spot
not
on.
true.
True.
So you watch it and you're like, nah, man, there were some rehearsals here.
Yeah, most likely. But on that bombshell, none of us think about the Roman Empire ever. I would like to say thank you to the neighborhood for sticking with us for a full 10 weeks. We have appreciated all your views and all the comments and basically just your support. We will be back next week, same time, same place. So from myself, Keenan, Luke, is there anything you guys want to say to the neighborhood before we say goodbye?
I'm all good.
I'll just be curious, guys. Neighborhood, comment on if you had any superpower, what would it be? I don't want to be the only creeper.
Well, no, I'm also a creep because I said invisible. So
The only creepy crawly.
wow, dad jokes today. Oh my goodness. Anyway, on that bombshell, enjoy the rest of your week, guys. We'll see you next week. Namaste, bitches.
Just,